Hello, friends and neighbors. I think you can tell what we're making today. And that is just your average Canadian South Park banana VTube avatar. Okay. So, we're going to get in the weeds today. And this thing I made, I'm pretty sure I don't want to teach you the way I made it. So, this should be fun. I'm going to teach you about logic and referencing parameters, and we're going to get to know the chop family. More than anything, we're going to learn how to do our first audio reactive project in TouchDesigner. Here we are, back to where we left off. We got reroute running, right? Nobody told me they didn't. So I'm using the same setup I had before. My vocals, because I'm going to be singing the hits. My voice is coming through reroute 8. If you middle mouse click on one of these outputs from ReaRouteTD, it will eventually bring up a menu. And since I clicked on a green output, it's given us our green menu options. You can bring in a circle or a square to have something on screen to test this, but the best operator for starting out, you're going to quickly find is under the tops, we are going to look for a MovieFileIn. MovieFileIn is for bringing in any media. You first open the MovieFileIn, and what does it do? It pulls up a TIFF file, a .tif. So right away you can get a sense that there is no photo file in. There's the movie file in, and that just handles all of this. You could bring in this. TouchDesigner has its own stock SD resolution, like literally SD resolution video files that are great for building and testing stuff. But why overcomplicate things when I've already done that enough? Let's reset all parameters. And now we're back to this endlessly lovable banana. I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect. But let's just see if we can't give it a little more personality than it has. This is another big one. So I told you about this viewer active or not. The chops don't have this, but in the top family, you can turn on this display flag and it will fill the background with whatever is in that note. And if we copy and paste this one also has the display flag on. So you can have more than one thing on screen. But let's take my voice and a middle click there to bring up a list of what we want our first node to be. And we've got all this audio spectrum, audio render, blah, blah, blah. No, we're going for the analyze chop. And this has got a bunch of different ways of taking that waveform and giving you an output that is just basically a slice in time, like the frame we're on or less. And you can see here, I mean, my mic, I'm going pre-effects through here, it's super, super low. So I'm getting an even smaller, I'm getting a smaller readout than if you were to like be playing a full volume wave file or, you know, remixing your EDM or whatever. I'm getting a quiet mic signal. So look, I turned this on maximum and we're at a hovering, getting close to 0.01 on the high end. RMS power is giving you more of like a smoother readout of basically the same thing, and it's not just looking for the peaks so much as I'm talking out my ass right now, but This is more of like, if you kind of like an average, but it keeps it in the positive. If you have a reason for your number to be dipping below 0 constantly, like a waveform does, you can keep that, but still end up with like a decimal readout. Nice thing about this RMS power is it's always keeping it in the positive, so you don't have to do any conversion on the fly to force it that way. It's always going to stay at 0 or above. So in that sense, it's kind of like a meter that you see like running in Reaper right now. When I talk, it goes up, and it goes down, it goes down. So if you right-click on one of these stringies, if you right-click on one of these wires, it's like the third or fourth time I've gotten hung up on trying to describe what this connection is. Is it a connection? I don't know. Anyways, you can insert by right-clicking and bring up a menu, and we're going to grab this math, probably more than anything. And so this math, we're still showing the waveform, and you can see at the bottom it's going to like negative 0.2, and at the top it's going to about 0.2 as I talk at this volume I'm at. And every operator has usually more than, they'll all have at least 2 menus. This first page is for, it's like you're running multiple things into a math. You can do things like add, subtract, divide, average, all these different sources to just get one channel or, like one number out of it. Super handy. The multi-add is where we could add a number to this in advance, and it's going to be 6 plus whatever's coming out of this. And then there's the multiplication, and it's got this slider here. We can go up to 10. Now with 10 times multiplication, I'm getting, we can get up to 0.1 when I'm speaking confidently. Now we're getting someplace, but the slider only goes to 10. What if we just add 3 zeros? Whoa, okay, that's like a number we're used to reading. That's a number that gets higher than I'm comfortable using at the moment, but no. We're going to multiply my voice by 10,000 before we ever do anything. So, let's go back to the trail. Let's go back to the trail. And now we can see this. When I'm talking the loudest, whoa! Look at that big peak. And we can see the numbers like almost 600. My background noise is nicely just flopping around 5 to 10. My meek, normal speaking voice is in the 100 range. But we know that, if I get excited at all, we're hitting 200. And look at this. This is much more readable information. Oh, if I tap the mic, as you may have heard, we crossed 1,000 for the first time. So I'm just going to keep that trail there, even though we're not going to use it for anything. It's just, as I'm kind of looking at how I want to analyze this signal and what parts of it important and where's what's too little, what's too much. We've got this little graphical display. And hey, you know what? I lied. These have a display too. That is a little excessive, but maybe analyzing this right here is going to be the most important thing we're doing for 5 minutes. And yeah, let's leave it on so I don't have to keep going back and peeking at it. Alternatively, you could hit view and just leave it up on your screen someplace like an old school CRT waveform monitor or something, It's what makes sense to you. Go do that. And all right, now we are 3 nodes deep. Okay. Is it too early for logic? For a lot of people, it would be. And this is something that probably wouldn't make sense right off the bat. But while we're talking about analyzing this, let's let's put a logic in there. This is not most people's first, third, or fourth chop, but we're going to do it. Okay. Our logic says 1. And why is that? In the menu, it says it's going to be off when it's 0 or less. My AC is running. We're never hitting 0. So this is, the logic says 1. What other options do we got? Off when 0. Well, that's not going to help us anymore. Oh, how about this one I use all the time? Off when outside bounds. I didn't do anything, but now it's at least changing. The bounds are 0 and 1. What if we change this to 1000 and we change the bounds to 10? Okay. Now when I talk, it's lighting up. That is, that's the game. That's the audio reactive game, folks. And you just won. And I just typed a couple numbers in to a thing. You know, like without my, say this is music. Say if this is your kick drum, or this is a choir, I don't know. You know, it's like this, all this information is going to be kind of coming out in its own way. And it's up to you to identify the useful parts. It's like, where should the dynamics start coming in? Where, you know, what should the ceiling be? Oh my God. I'm going to be giving all my secrets away right now. On video 2. It's okay. I want more thriving people in this world. So let's look at this logic. We're still not moving anything yet. I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. I really am. Let's look at the lag. L-A-G. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Okay. Now you see this lag. It has 2 parameters you're ever going to use. And they're both amazingly handy. So the first one is the lag of the value going in, and the second one is the lag of the value going down. So if I change this, very simple thing that took me a bit to really understand. If you click and hold on these parameters, it will let you adjust in degrees of decimal points. Right in the middle will be 0.1. And if you go left and right, it will let you adjust by that much. So you don't have to actually type in a number you want to change. It's like, okay, that's good. Let's go down to 0. All right. Now the lag is 0. And you see it's like, it just shoots up and eases out. Let's do the opposite. I'm going to type it in this time. 0.2 and 0. Okay. Now now it's the opposite. As soon as it stops growing, it just disappears. But it eases into it, so that's like the attack time. Let's control something. It's a big part of this. So we've got this logic pumping out a 0 or 1, and this is going 0 to 1. Let's do a 0.1, 0.1. Let's do the default. 0.2, 0.2. So let's go into our top which I like to call picture mode. We'll grab a circle. All of these texture operators, under their common page, they'll all have what their output resolution is, aspect ratio, blah, 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 pixel format. Let's just set this to free mode. Which I'm not assuming everybody has the full version of TouchDesigner, so we're just going to make these. We got to keep this accessible. So let's add a transform to this. And we can just look at our transform for now. Translate, we can look at this. Okay. Pro tip number whatever. When I'm doing audio reactive stuff, I like to find the values that are within what I think looks good. I'll probably say this a lot, because if you know that, hey, 0.3 is the edge in this case, negative 0.3 is the edge in this case. Why is it flying around like that? Well, you can pick between pixels and the fraction of the real estate. And so 0.3, with 1 being all of it, move it 0.3 all of it left, 0.3 all of it right. You know, you can do a lot with small numbers in a fraction mode. And pixels are nice because it's a little bit easier to dial in that sweet spot between, you need bigger numbers than 0 and 1, but, my mind doesn't think between 0 and 1 that often. But you multiply it, and you get the scope between 0 and 1,000, and be like, oh yeah, 600 is too much. Let's get this in the 2 to 400 range as an average. Think like that, and it gets really easy to translate things into that. So we've switched to pixels now, and now you'll see I can go up here and change it in increments of 10, and we're getting movement that isn't just jumping crazy amounts. And anytime you see a translate parameter, there's going to be 2 or 3 of them. And the first one's always going to be X. There's X. The second one's always going to be Y. And the third one is always going to be Z. And there's no Z in the translate except, what did I do in the scale by 10? There's your Z in 3D space. So for us, it's scale. Making it bigger, smaller, closer, further away. Okay. So now we're sitting center. What if we want this to move left and right and up and down? Well, now we've got these numbers that go 0 to 1. That's only going to move it in one direction when we're sitting dead center. So let's grab a math again. And this is where you'll fall in love too. It's math. Not my strongest subject in school, which was where I left off was in the year 1999. If that tells you anything. That tells you too much, actually. Okay. We haven't changed anything, so it's coming out exactly the same as this envelope. Let's use the leg instead. Goodbye, envelope. Oh. All right. The math is coming out the same. And, well, If 0 is the middle and 1 is the right, then we need -1 to get the left. So instead of 0 to 1, like we're getting, let's go -1 to 1. Oh. But now it says 0, that's -1. Let me just back up. Let's just move this shit. So we could connect this lag value to our transform and get things moving right away. But we're going to do like the smart people do, and we're going to grab a null. And right now we can attach that to this, because we're going to move it at most 1 pixel to the right for now. So now you can just barely see it moving, but we're nudging it in the right direction. Here we can add a math. We can change the multiplication of it. Now we got 10. Now it's starting to move. Let's add another 10. Let's add more. Now it's okay. Now it's jumping. Or we can leave it at a multiplication of 1 and just change the range to be like, oh, what looks good? Oh yeah, 0 to 300. Okay. Now it's doing that. It's pretty much the same thing. You can start messing with the multiplication, and now we're starting to push it off screen. Oh, now it's mostly gone. We can reduce it below 1, and yeah. Now if we play with this lag, we'll get a totally different feel for, maybe we want it to jump up and take twice as long to ease out. Let's change this multiplication back to 1. Okay. Well, anyways, we see this twitchy thing moving. And it's just because the logic is turning on and then it jumps over there. Well, 0 or 1, that's not that accurate of a way of... It's probably the most useful way of depicting audio coming through or not, but it's not necessarily the best. And if we take this lag off, we're just going to, it's like, up, 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 up. You don't see it anywhere in between those two positions. So, have to start faking it. I mean, that doesn't really matter, but we could always go back to this analyze and let's just see if we can put a math in there and connect that to our null. We'll bypass all this. Okay, well now we're getting kind of a jerky thing. We could change the range of it. We could multiply, and now we're going to get a much more, every single sound is going to be influencing it rather than just on or off. And we could put a filter in here, and look at that. Oh, now we're just drifting. Yeah. It's okay. Its default is a 1 second filter width with the effect completely on. Oh, and a drop-down menu of some things I don't really get, but we can play with this filter width and let it jump kind of fast. We could de-spike. What does that look like? Oh, now we're kind of, it's jumping, but it will only jump so far. Or, oh, we can change the tolerance of what it considers a spike. All these things have a lot of technical stuff going on behind them, but philosophy time, it's just about the feel. It's like what makes a video game good. Does it feel good playing it, or does it technically have the right things going on? Film, music, all that shit. It all... I don't know about you, but I like things to feel good. So just play around with these controls and figure out what feels good. And when it doesn't feel good, what can you do to try to guarantee or fake that feeling? So we're just pushing the circle to the right, but I've shown you like 5 operators, and they all kind of have their own feel. Or they can achieve different things. And the more you understand them, the more powerful they are. But, you can get a sense of them without understanding exactly what's happening. So, okay, yeah, now we got this circle, and it is moving. That's not very exciting. Another really useful operator. This is probably my the underdog in my mind is the speed. In the speed, when you plop it down, will just keep going. It's going to keep going and going and going. And based on the amplitude going into it, the number that grows will just grow. It's not steady, so if I get loud, woo, we're gone. But I don't even know what this first section is. But you can limit that number so it doesn't ever go too high. You can clamp it. So like, okay, now it's stuck at 1. It's trying to grow, but it's like, it's never going to get past 1,291. And I think we'll maybe still see it before it stops. I don't know. Nope, it's gone. Don't use that one too much. Let's change the minimum on the loop mode to 900 and change the maximum to 900, and we're coming back around again. This is getting exciting now, right? We got a looping animation. So that one's great. What I use even more is a zigzag, a zig-a-zag-za. If you are cultured in the ways of Spice Girls like I am. It's like a little bit of computer noises still moving this thing. But yeah, see, like that's what did I do? And now it's kind of just has like, if I'm quiet, it's barely moving. It's just like the moon and the crickets. But if you're like, okay, so maybe the filter is keeping our oonces from really being noticeable. Let's get this party started. See, that's audio reactive. And like, I can put this back on and it's like a pad synth where it's like, wow. I'm almost out of secrets already. But what did we really set out to do today? That was to create a Canadian in the South Park style, wearing 8-bit shades that can be your VTube avatar for all of time.